Hello everyone. I'm 10 minutes late today. I changed the time of the streaming on YouTube. I don't know if you have seen it, but anyway, thanks for waiting. And thanks for joining. I was finishing a game actually. I was playing something and the game didn't finish at the right time, so I had to move it 10 minutes. How are you guys? Hello Sway, hello Sue. So yesterday we did a lot of good stuff. I mean, at the end we ported the bulk. I mean, the majority of the code related to NPC AI. Obviously, porting the code doesn't mean that it works, but at least it's a solid base to replicate the same functionality that we have in the old PlaneShift, and in particular behaviors, perceptions, and all of that. So now this morning I did some tests and there are some errors in loading the behaviors and in loading the stuff, but it's okay. I mean, it doesn't look like it's a major issue. It looks like it's a kind of minimal issue. Hello Maui. So I think we can do another good step forward today, right? Which is let me just show you the plan again, just in case. I mean, someone is looking maybe at this stream and not at the previous ones. Someone maybe will look at the replay. So in general, I'm trying to give all the time, a small recap of the previous day at the beginning, and then let's say recap of what we did during the stream at the end of the stream. Okay, this is the mission that we have, so which is basically having our NPC get a bigger brain, right? This is what we need. At the moment, our NPC have a very small brain, which is the one provided by Unreal Engine, which is pretty small. But let's say with a PlaneShift brain, I think we can improve it quite a bit. So our mission is to load the brain of the NPC from the database with at least some events, and I would say in particular with some behaviors. If we go down here, we see all the different items that are involved into the NPC behavior, at least from the PlaneShift point of view. So perceptions, behaviors, operations, waypoints, and such, and then the brain operation, right? So all of that is something that we want to have properly loaded. Now, where we are in the code, we are at the point where we just need to test it, so which is a pretty exciting time. Test it and test and debug, because there are some points. So the first thing I've seen, and I already fixed it, is that if you look at our database, our XML definition for behavior is actually not properly formatted XML. Meaning that XML is the concept of having a root node and then having a number of subnodes below it, right? If you see here, in our case, it is not happening. So you have, in this case, two root nodes. One is the behavior and one is the React. So the proper way would be to have something like, this, in which this thing is embedded, right? And then having, the closure of the root node at the end, right? This makes it properly XML formatted data, because you need to have a root node. You cannot have multiple root nodes. So unfortunately, our data is not like this. Our data is having multiple ones, but the first fix I did was very simple. So the only thing that basically I added, at the top, before parsing the XML, after reading from the database, just an NPC type before and after. So that is what I did, and it works pretty well. The problem is that it's giving errors after this. So if I execute it, there are some scripts that are failing, right? And in particular, you see like this one. So this is the log that we have. Here we are loading all the behaviors, like we are loading do nothing, teleported, go to region. So we're already loading all these behaviors, and this one are exactly the one that you see here in the database. Do nothing, go on teleport in region, blah blah blah. Should be extracted by go to region. Yeah, these are the behavior that you see here. Okay, so we are loading this. We are loading this properly, but for some reason, some are still failing. Like this one is failing. This on-site fighter is failing, and answerer is failing. So looking at the data, what I see is that is this one on-site fighter and answerer, right? On-site fighter. Yeah, this one is failing. Now, why is this failing? So this is what we have to understand, right? We have to understand why this thing is failing. The only thing that I see, which may be a bit weird, is this operator. You see, there is an operator and then a greater than sign, which may be confused maybe by the XML as a closing tag. So, and the same for this one, which is an opening one. So, I think what we can do, we can save this to a file temporarily. Okay, let's just save it to a file, or let's put it here, right? That's not great. Okay, like this. So we save it, and then just for the sake of understanding what is the issue, let me remove this operator. Okay, let me remove the operator here and the operator here, because my sense is telling me that this is the problem. But let's see. And then I apply. Okay, so now we have a different database. Apply, apply, apply. Okay, we did it. So now on-site fighter should not, doesn't contain that piece anymore. So let me see if now if I launch the server, I can launch it also outside of Visual Studio, no problem. To see if that's the issue, right? Because it may be the issue. Or the comment. Also, I have this morning I have fixed a bit of the debug log, so you see that we are printing out much less stuff. Okay, it crashed anyway, but let me see which kind of yeah, you see, Site Fighter is now properly loaded. Okay, so I think that's the issue. I think that's the issue, as I was expecting. So we have two ways to do it. Or we change it to, HTML, no, sorry, XML. I think it's like ampersand LT something, right? I think is LT less than or greater than, so it's like ampersand LT, there it is. So this is less than and this is greater than. So these are the two ways, two acronyms to express a greater than in XML. Should we do it this way or should we do it in a different way? I think we should do it this way, right? I just don't know how it will be read, if it will be read properly if I use greater than. But it seems that our problem is that, right? Our problem is the fact that inside of this on-site fighter we have. So should we do it by code or should we do it by changing the data? Because changing the data is a bit annoying because it means that it's not compatible anymore with our old Planeshift database. I would prefer to have a way to parse it, but I think where it's failing is really failing in the parsing. We can let's do this just for testing. Let's take the first one, which is this, and let's try to place here something, exactly something like that. Where is it? 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 Here. So let's try to do something like that. Okay. Let's place it in the first one. So in this one. So it's a bit easier for us to debug because it's the first one that we meet. Okay. In the code. So let me apply that change. And let me restart the server. This time I think I will do it in debug mode because I want to see what's happening. Did I change the code? I don't think so. Anyway, let's recompile it just for safety and see what is going on. But yeah, I'm expecting, let's say, to have these small problems, you know, of compatibility, maybe between the XML parsers, because Planeshift was using a very different XML parser, and so we are getting this kind of errors. We can also search the internet about it and see if there is a kind of a parsing that we can do before, maybe to fix it. Because actually we have the string, you know, we could change it manually. I mean manually, we can change it by program. Okay, so here we are initializing our thing. Here we are loading our right. I don't remember where is it. I think it's down here. Get file node, I think is here. Here is where we are actually parsing the file. So our fixed XML is containing this. Let me see if I can add watch and copy. Yeah, this is what it's containing, right? So it's containing the operator greater than. Now I want to see if it's failing already in this file. So if I execute this, file is empty. Yes, failed to parse the loaded document. Yes, it is absolutely failing this. Okay, so yeah, that thingy is failing in the parsing now. Okay. So let me try to do it then with the other idea. So with the greater than. It's a bit of an annoyance though, because if we do it with a greater than, is there a way to escape? You know, is there a way to escape? I think the only way to escape it for real is to convert it to this, to NGT. So our solution will be to do it this way, but it's really annoying. I don't know if I want to do it this way. XML parsing escape greater than, right? So there are only 5 you need to escape. Seems strange that there is no, you know, there is no method to actually, yeah, you see, this guy is the same problem. I don't know why it says it should not be escaped in attributes, because in our case it's exactly like this and it's failing. It cannot. So is our parser natively allowing us to escape these characters? Let me see if this function by any chance has more parameters. Construct method, construct from file. No. So this one is not. So before this, we need somehow Is there an XML parser something function? Maybe there is a function, you know. Escape now. Passing French character using creative XML template. XML parser, no runtime support. I mean, we can check if there is a way. XML parser doesn't seem to have any escape functionality. I mean, I can make a function, you know. I can make a function myself that is escaping all those characters if it finds it in the file. I think I can do that. But if there was one already existing, I would prefer, obviously. No. Escape greater than. But I don't think people are doing this. I think it's pretty much our issue only, so I have the feeling no one else is doing this. But and apart change character, blah blah blah, and how to handle, you can some storing of text, blah blah blah. Itself, unless, can you try something like ftext from string? I finally solved the problem by changing my XML file encoding with as user bound not valid. I mean, for us, the problem would be, I mean, the solution would be to just have a function to escape all those characters. Do you have an idea how to do it? If you have an idea, let me know. Hello, I create a C++ function based on XML, blah blah blah, database, Huh. Okay, we can have our own function, but why there is not one already done for us? Escape XML, escape characters. Is it called escape? Is escape the right wording, or replace escape with char with char? Interesting. Remove the escape backslash for all supported characters, replacing escape character and escape version. Well, it's something like this, but for XML. For XML, I don't think it exists. I think I'm asking something that is not existing. Okay, I think we realize that there is no existing function for this. I mean, maybe there is, but it's not very evident. If there is, I don't see it. I don't see it. So I don't see it. So we will do it ourselves. Okay, so we will have a kind of a string util which is going to escape the bad characters. At the moment, I think we can escape only that one. The point is that we need to. No, it's okay. I think we can just replace. I think we can just replace that one for now. Who cares? It's the only one that I think we need. So let's go to string utils. And in string utils we will create, by the way, I already had an XML string. What is this? XML string? Maybe I did it already. XML string. What is this? It's all empty though. Get tag section. I have no idea. How did we use this? Let me just. I did it a long time ago, so I don't remember at all. What was this? Let me just search the code base and see where we use this. XML string. Find next tag. Find matching and tag. Find tag. Find in your case. Because this thing is really doing something. Get text section. Get within text section. Get within text section. Okay. Get tag parameters. I think it's because there were some function they were missing. Get substring, get word. There is quite a minute. Escape XML. Look at this. Escape XML. I did it already. Look at this. I did it already. Escape XML. Nice. Wow. I was not remembering. I think I did it like 1 year ago or so, but okay, we have it already. Nice. So since we have it already, then the only thing we need to do now, the problem is, how does it know? The thing I'm a bit confused is, how does it know that is just the one inside quotes that he has to change and not everything? Let me see, how did we use this? I think I used it when I was parsing manually the thing, you know? Escape XML. Say text. Okay, because here we were using it when we were creating the thing. No, because we are also creating XML. You know, we are reading and creating XML. So in this case, we were using it when we were creating it. No. So, well, the code is kind of okay, but we need to change it. So, because the problem is that this one, if I give to this one the full string, you know, it will start to replace also stuff you don't want to replace. So we start to replace this character, all these characters, this character, this character, this character. It's not what we want, right? It's not what we want. It's not what we want. What we want is only to change it if it's inside an attribute. Only if it's inside an attribute. So I think we need to do another function similar to this one, which is taking f string and is only changing the attribute values. So yeah, I think that's what we should do. So actually this escape XML should be called escape attribute XML or something, but so our new function will take an f string and will be called escape script XML or something like that. Escape script XML, and we can also put a description on this thing saying that when loading scripts we should escape special characters, sample attributes, sample attributes like, we can take the example of this one, which is exactly the case. I can put the whole thing, why not? Well, maybe I don't need it all, but let me just remove a bit of this. Okay, so it's a bit more compact, but yeah, right. So I think we can do this, and we would just escape the ones that we feel are dangerous. Right? I think it's less than and greater than. I think it's only this operator thingy. I don't think there is anything else. One thing we should do is to check if substituting with greater than is actually working, because at the moment we didn't check it yet, so we don't know if this thing is working or not. But okay, one thing at a time. One thing at a time, boys. So there is an f string, right? Returning another f string, and what we want to do, we want to just replace. I think it's as simple as doing a replace, when IntelliSense comes up, but I think it's just something like replace, and then we can decide to replace. Now the problem is that we need to escape this as well. I think will be something like this, right? So replace this with and lt, whatever. Yes, it is greater than, but in our case, in this case, is less than, and something like that. I don't remember if I think I need to use text. Yes, I think we need to use text. So if I do something like, okay, just don't remember if replace is returning the string or is doing it. Yeah, it's returning the string. So we should do f string equal this, and then we can do this. Why we do it with all this thing is because we want to do it only when it's between brackets, right? Yeah. I think for now we can just do this. We can just do this, and then if we find more cases, we can. Yeah, we can add more cases, but for us, for now it's fine. So. Okay, so let's just put back into our database. I think I want to remove this one. No? Yeah, I want to remove this one. I want to apply it as it was. And also I want to change our on-site fighter, which is this one, and put it back to the original form, which is the one that we saved. We saved it here, so we can take it and put it here and apply, and then apply again. Okay. So now, basically, the database is as it was, so we did no changes to it. Hello, BK. Hello, BK, bro. How are you? Welcome to the stream. We are working on NPC AI, and in particular, we are working on ensuring that the loading from the database of the brain of the NPCs is loaded properly. So this is what we are doing, right? And yeah. And And now we're having just some issues with the parsing of some special characters like this one. And so I just created a simple, very simple function to do that. So let me go back to my NPC behave. So after we do this, I think we should do fixed XML equal to, and then we do string utils of escape our thing, and then fixed XML, right? So now after this pass, we should have that character replaced, right? Which is fine. So let me compile this, and also let me recompile. We launched it inside Visual Studio because I want to say, well, I mean, yeah, we cannot, but that function will work 100%, I think. Hey BK, why you are here? What is your interest? Are you working on Unreal? Are you working on Unreal Engine? Are you trying to make a game? What brings you here? And if you want to subscribe, you can subscribe to the channel if you want to know when I'm live. We are making an MMO. If you have any questions, please. Okay, so we are waiting the compilation of this. It's compiling. One day I will have to clear out all those warnings. There are a million warnings. They are all pretty simple to change. Basically, most of them are members with the same name, you know. Okay, we are launching it. We changed the header file, which is included in so many places. So due to that change, it takes a bit more to the compiler to actually do the compilation, because there are more classes to change. Okay, stay with me, boys. Just waiting compilation. So if this pass goes through, I think yeah, you see all this thingies. Maybe we can start to slowly change all these hide class members. There are so many, and it's a bit of a pity that they are there. All these hide class member, all these ones. Maybe I can copy this and put it in a kind of a notepad, and as we go, we fix them as we go, because like it's very simple to fix. It's just that you see this hide local member. It means that we have a variable that is coming in from a method, which is the same as a member variable. Okay, so what we want to do, we want to just execute this, I think, right? We don't care too much at this point. We just execute it, and we see if in our log we get all these items properly loaded, right? Should I just remove the breakpoints, maybe? I don't know. How many we have? We have a lot, huh? I'm just clicking. It's not printing anything though. Shouldn't print. It's not printing anything. Should print out all the ones that is loading. Maybe it's flushing at the end. Okay, maybe I should remove it because it's really too many. Come on. Okay. We loaded up, we didn't crash, which is very good. Now we need just to check if when he loaded this, let me check the log in this side. No, it's not opening yet. Come on. Okay, let me just see if he gave any error. Didn't print out the loading though. Why? I was expecting to see. Here it is. Loaded 54 NPC types. Okay. Okay. I think it loaded it properly. Now, if they worked, I have no idea. But the fact that it didn't give an error and our server is up is a good news, you know. It's a good news. So it said that it loaded 54 NPC types, so meaning that you read the whole table here. You read the whole table. Interesting. How do we test this now? So assuming that it is properly loaded, this is kind of interesting. Assuming that it is properly loaded. By the way, I should load the behaviors, but I should also load the reactions, right? So there is no loaded 0 NPC from NPC definition. I think there is a problem that we have. First of all, we should put the logs on, because at the moment I think I have only the minimal logs. Yes, NPC AI, this one we want it to be full. We want it to be logged. I reorganized the way our logs are working, and basically whenever you only want to see the errors, you do error, and when you want to see everything, you do log. And so now you see NPC AI was only error, so we didn't see a lot of what it was doing. But the good news is that the behaviors are loaded properly. Now let me try to do something. Let me stop this and start it again. This time outside Visual Studio with the log, with the verbose log, right? I want to see why is not loading the SCSPC definition. I think it's probably the same, because it's the same error about the root node. I'm pretty sure. Okay, let me see if it's streaming it to the disk. Yes, it's here. So failure to find object, no. Okay, you see here we have more debug. These are all the behaviors that it's finding, and this one unfortunately loaded 0 NPC from NPC. Why 0? I think we have to debug it. So the printout is here. We should put a breakpoint here and see what's happening. Select star from SP and SCMPC definition. So this one is loading a table that is basically telling that is basically loading the brain of the NPC, right? It's loading the brain of the NPC. So for example, our male Enki is as an NPC type, which is wanderer, and this wanderer has been defined in the behaviors, right? So it's trying to load this line and it's not working properly. So let me just check what it's doing. I think we should debug it. It's easier than just trying to read the code. Let's just launch it with a breakpoint here and see why it's not loading anything. By the way, here I have some create a new NPC, NPC client only, new AI controller. Do we need initializer? Network word engine, lost the brain of the NPC. It's probably failing here. Check after the tribes, because we increment, yeah. if NPC get tribe, loaded NPC. Well, actually, I think this loaded NPC is in a bad place. So maybe it's working, but we are not printing out the right values. Yeah, I think this plus plus should not be here, but it should be inside of this. Okay, we will see it in a second. Now it's starting up. Hello, I see someone joined. Welcome. Welcome, boys. We are testing the NPC code now that it's properly. So I think I can remove this breakpoint, and I think I can also remove these two other breakpoints. Okay, so now we are at the point where we want to debug. So it's going through SP definition, and it's checking if it's valid. Yes, it's valid. Now it's going through this, and let me just check if this is positive. Yes, he actually loaded this. You see, mail Enki. This is loaded properly. Mail Enki ID4. So Wanderer, you see, it loaded it properly. So I think it works. I think it's just that we have NPC push NPC. I don't know exactly what this is doing, but we are putting this in our NPC list. Okay, it's fine. I mean, who cares? Check if the NPC is part of a tribe. Check if the NPC is part of a tribe. I don't think so. So this is returning true. I mean, this is not. I don't understand what is this thing doing. If NPC get tribe, NPC disable. Oh, by the way, we are doing this. This is not relevant anymore, but yeah, we are just not incrementing the number, but I think it, yeah, okay. So I think if we are loading this, let me stop this. Two things we have to change. So first of all, this thing at the bottom makes no sense. The NPC should be automatically enabled. Disable equal to true. I hope the disable by default is false. Is there a default of this? I think it should be in the initialization of our PSAI controller, but I want that to be false by default. PSAI controller is under NPC client. Yes, disabled is false at default. Okay, fine. So what do we need to change? We need this thing, because what was happening in the past, was that we were having, do you remember our schema of NPC client? Let me open a new paint. This one, okay, so we have our server and NPC client separate, right? So server is here, NPC client is here. The problem is that in the old code they were separate, right? And we were basically loading here all the NPC, but then we were waiting for the NPC client to send us the information that the NPC was ready to be used, right? And it is why this piece of code here, what it's saying is saying disable the NPC by default, we will activate it only, blah blah blah. So this thing has no sense anymore for us. So this one we remove it. The other thing is that if the load has been successful, right? If the load has been successful, I want to increment my loaded NPCs. Why not? Right? I should not do it only if it's a tribe. So, right. So this is why we were seeing the 0. So it's actually working. It's loading. It's loading this information. Now the question is, I'm struggling a bit to merge the two things, you know, the old code and the new code. What is happening exactly at the moment? We are loading into our PS AI NPC, PS AI controller. We are loading all the data needed. Yes, I think we are. I think we are. So I think if I look at the, and also what we are doing here, NPC, am I associating anywhere NPC set brain? NPC set brain. What is this thing doing? Come on. Set brain. The little brain, type, brain, unit. Yeah, this thing actually is not exactly how we want to do it. Because the way we do it in Unreal, we just assign the controller to the pawn, you know? So this controller that we are creating here, and this controller that we are loading here, should be then assigned. And I don't see it happening anywhere here, right? I don't see it happening anywhere. Okay, let me just place a bookmark here and say, and remove the other bookmark here. So here, where do we associate it? I think we associate it inside PS character, and I think that inside of here we have a controller, and I think we have a place where we assign the eye controller to this NPC. You see? This is when we do the loading. Here we are inside the load of the NPC. Load of the NPC. Is this happening before or after I load the brains? I have no idea. I think it is happening after. I think it is happening after. I'm not 100% sure, but this load on IPS character, I think is happening after the initialization. Yeah, I think it's happening after. So when I arrive here, I'm a bit confused because I don't know exactly where I should do it. I think I should do it there, so when I'm loading the character, but here I'm loading, here I'm creating the brains, okay, the different brains for each NPC. I'm creating it here when we are doing this when we initialize an NPC manager. So this is fine. Then we are pushing. So we have this, which is NPCs, which is basically a collection of brains. Okay, so it is nice. And we have it in NPC manager. So one thing that I could, but the problem is that I don't have them by ID. I need them by ID so that I can then, yeah, this is just an array, just a freaking array. Can we change it to something smarter? Like, to me, it will be enough to have a T map with the ID of the NPC and his brain, right? That would probably be better, because I don't know how we were doing this in the old code, because the old code was loading the same way. Okay, but there is this set brain, right? This set brain, but this was just because it was on the tribe. But brain NPC type. I'm very confused by. Let me check the old code a second. Okay, so inside PS character, if I take bulk objects, PS character, right? And I take the same function, which is load. Load is here, right? Here is where we were loading the character. Okay, set range info. So I should search if inside of this. I think it should be at the end. Load info, load trainer, load spells, load experience. Fuck. He's not loading the brain. He's not loading the brain here for some reason. He's not doing it. He's not associating the brain here. I don't know when and where he's doing it. I think so. He's not doing it here. Okay. So it may be inside NPC manager, because NPC client was loading. Wait, one second. NPC client, right? NPC client was loading all the brains, the old system. So load tribes, load NPC types, load maps. Okay, so it is loading all of that, right? So, and this is exactly the code that we were looking at just in the old plan sheet, right? NPC type load NPC. So it's creating this array of. Oh, by the way, you see that it does it by name. Why I don't do it like this? No. So this is the NPC types. The NPC types is not the NPC itself. Read NPC from database. There is another one. Read NPC from database. So there is the one. Yes, there's reading definitions. Is loading all of this. So this is the code we were looking at now. So it's doing nothing else. It's doing nothing else. So there must be a place where he's speaking to the main server and is sending the information. Load all NPCs. What is this? Load all NPC. Let me check. Maybe it's here. Stats, NPC summary. For NPCs, get sites. NPCs get brain. I just wanted to see where is done in the old code the association between the NPC and the brain, but it seems I cannot find it. It seems I cannot find it. Default behavior. NPC get size, get name, output. This is just a printout. Brain, but you see that here is printing out the brain. NPC. I think if I search NPC set brain, that's it. Because let me search for set brain. Okay. Set brain. There is this one which is only for tribes, but I don't care. I don't care. Then there is change brain operation. Okay, this is just something to change the brain of the NPC. We don't care. Then where we are here? Maybe here. Perception change brain. Well, there is again something. NPC advance, brain advance. Check for set brain operation. Can delete your brain now. The second one. NPC set brain. Set brain. I don't understand where this is done. It seems it is not done anywhere, so I'm a bit confused at the moment. No more occurrences, you see. So this set brain is not. Let me do entire solution. Searching on the entire solution to see if it's any better. Set brain of brain. Okay, there is the actual function. Here we are inside end of perception, but are we changing? Are we sending a perception change brain for every of our NPCs? Maybe we do. I don't know. Change brain operation. There is the tribe one, which by the way I don't know why it's there. I have no idea. It seems there is nothing else. Yeah, there's nothing else. So the only possibility is that we are actually sending change brain operation. Seems weird though. For every NPC at the beginning. This.brain equal to new NPC type. And then it's getting this. A bit surprised by that. NPC load. It's probably here then. NPC load is assigning the brain here at the bottom. New NPC type, type T. This T, where is coming from? NPC type, yes, it's doing it here. Okay, we found it. Is when the NPC client is loading the actual NPC from the database, because again in our schema, you know, the server was loading the NPCs, then the NPC client was also loading the NPCs, and they were exchanging information, you know. It is how it was working. So they were exchanging information, but the NPC client is the only one that is loading the brain. So I see it here, where it's setting the brain. Now the question is, okay, so this is how it was doing it. So it was taking the information from NPC types. I was taking the information from NPC types and was probably matching the type by name, right? Row NPC type. Row NPC type. Row NPC type is the one we have in the DB. Yes, NPC type. Okay, it's this one. Yeah. It's using this column to then reference to NPC types array. And okay, so in our new world, how is that gonna happen? So our NPC manager should have load NPC types. Because we are keeping a reference to the NPC type, well, in our case, we should keep a reference maybe to the actual brain, or no, to the NPC. No, this is okay. This is okay. But I need another place, so I think it is fine. I think I need to change, like I was saying, NPCs to be, because the difference is that we are also creating a controller. It didn't have a controller, you know, so it was just creating an NPC type and then it was associating it to their character. In our case, we cannot associate the NPC type. We need to associate this thing, which is an AI controller. And this AI controller is pushed into these NPCs, which unfortunately doesn't have a reference of ID or anything. So my suggestion is that we go here, we change this to a tmap, and the tmap will be an int. The problem is that we may have the same brain for multiple NPCs. Fuck it. We may have the same brain so it cannot be the ID of the NPC. It must be the name. It must be this name, because this name is unique. This name is unique. The problem I have is, if I create a controller, a controller, right, and I share this controller between two different NPCs, right, so I assign this controller to two NPCs. What will happen with their memory then? So will it be shared? So it will be the same memory? There is something I don't know. Because we can create one controller for each type, but then I don't know if we can associate the same controller to two NPCs, and if that happens, what is going to do with their memory and other parameters, you know? I mean, we will have to assign the same. We will have to copy the controller somehow. I mean, we will have to have a controller which is identical in terms of functionality, but is a separate object. Right? Otherwise, but anyway, for sure here I need to have this, which is, let's say, the f string is referencing to NPC type. So tmap with NPC type as key and APS AI controller, okay, it's written there, and brain as value. brain as value. So this is what it is. It is what this thing is, right? Now if we do it like this, let me see, this is a kind of a change, compared to what we are doing. So here I should, now when I push, I should push with, instead of NPC, by the way I have no idea what is this NPC's deferred. The third, I think, are the one that have to be loaded later on, but I don't know. So if this is a T map, do I have a T map add? What do I have? T map add. Yes, I have add T map. T map add value and key. Okay. So this will become add, and this will become value and key. It seems to be key and value, by the way. Why we say probably because it was what? Non-swappable parameter. I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, it's key and value. So we add here an f string, and the f string for me will be the NPC type name, right? Will be the name that we just extracted, which is this one, name. SC NPC definition. Yeah. So it should be name and NPC, right? Okay. So now we have inside our T map that we can search at any time by name our brain associated. Okay, fine. I think that is good. Then now when we are loading the NPC for real, which happens later on in the server startup, and it happens in this piece of code, and this happens here. If he's an NPC, we want to associate the proper brain. Now, the way we do it, we need to know what is his NPC type. Can we get his NPC type? Get NPC type. No, we don't have it. On PS character. On PS character, because from the depends on where this thing is loaded. SC NPC definitions. SC NPC definitions. I think I'm making a bit of a mess at the moment because we have two moments. One, when we are loading this, which is the NPC types, and this when we are loading the actual NPC brain from SC NPC definitions. So actually here I need the ID, right? I think here I need the ID, otherwise I will never be able to find it out. I need the ID and then the name. Who cares? Why we have the name here? No idea. Okay, let me change what I was doing. I think NPC manager. I think this one. I think this one should be with NPC ID or character ID as key and brain as a value, because otherwise I have no way to catch it. Char ID. Why is not caring about the char ID anywhere here? It's very strange. He's only caring it on this one. For the familiars, for everything else, it doesn't care about the ID. But anyway, for us is needed, so okay, so let's do it like this. So here I create my NPCs map and I have it by ID, and every ID has a different brain, so it's basically loading this table, right? As you can see in definition. Okay, fine. So now in the other place, when I'm loading the character at this point, I can go in NPC manager and get, the point is that I need to get this thing, which I don't know if he has an accessor or anything. I mean, he should have it. Hello, I see someone joined. Welcome to the stream. Int ID controller. So here what we are doing, do I have an access to this variable? No, it's protected. Yeah, but I need to I need an access to this because I need to use it on the other side. So NPC manager. Let me check NPCs. By the way, why is it called NPCs? I mean, can we call it in a better way? Again, NPC list amount, list all NPC. Now there is no accessor to this. Okay, we need it. We need to access this thing. So NPCs is a bit limiting, you know. It should be called NPCs definitions. NPC definition will be much more understandable. Should we change it? Let's change it because it's a bit unknown. I mean, it's hard to understand. NPC definitions. Okay, so we need an accessor which is public. So we will do something like get NPC definitions, and this one will just return very simply our SC NPC definitions, right? We return just this and nothing else at the moment. So yeah, so this is public. So now from our, I think we have to change this now everywhere. NPC manager. So whenever I have NPCs, I need to change it to this. Right? It's a bit everywhere, by the way. Let me check if I'm doing the right thing. For example, here, NPC manager file perception will check all the brains that have that definition, and it will trigger the event. Maybe. I don't know why I changed this variable. Now I have to change it like in the wall code, but I don't know, it seems more meaningful. Should we avoid doing it? Okay, let's avoid doing it. There's too many places in the code. I don't want to do it now. There's 1 million places. I don't want to do it now. It's 1 million places. I have to change it. So let's just keep it NPCs for now. It's too many. Is everywhere in the code. So okay, but anyway, we should remember that NPCs is actually not the NPCs, but it's just the definitions. So the brain types of our NPCs, right? So with this done, now I should be able to go inside my PS character and say something like NPC manager, and then get whatever we have as a function, get NPC definitions, right? So after I get this, I should, on this one, I should find the one that is the same as my NPC ID, which I have somewhere here. My NPC ID, wow, that's a big function. There it is. It's called PID. Okay, so on this one I should, if it allows me to, anyway, I should get the value which is PID, and this one will return get, I think it's find ref. What is it? It's find ref PID. No, you don't like it. Or what do you want? Searching the key. Okay, the PID is a freaking number, right? No, it's a PID. Okay. So we do this unbox. Okay, this should return an APS controller, right? So I should create should return this, which is basically the brain. And now we just simply associate it, you know, right? I knew it. Why it doesn't like it? AI controller class. What is spawn default controller doing? Spawn default controller, what is doing? Spawn default controller get node, blah blah blah. In fact, spawn info, spawn collision method, override. It's doing new controller here, but actually, I don't know. Spawn actor, a controller, get look. I mean, I want my controller. I don't want this. New controller possess. Okay. It is what we need to do. The fact that he's spawning it, you know, he's doing all of this. We want our own controller, the one that we have actually just created in the loading part. So we want, I think we want to copy this whole code, because I have the feeling that it is relevant. I don't want to skip any of this. I don't know what it's doing, but it's setting, for example, the spawn info is setting the instigator equal to instigator. Is setting the spawn collision handle override as always spawn. Override level, get level. Object flag, transient. We never want to save AI controller into a map. Okay, sounds good. New controller spawn info. You know what? I think that this should be done here instead of this. Because new object is just creating the object, it's not spawning it into the world. So new object is just the very basic initialization of it. While what we see here is that is doing the actual spawning, right? Even if the result I think is the same. I don't know, we have to test it. I have no idea. But we could I can copy this code, which is actually the default spawn controller inside Unreal. And what I can do, I can create a new function inside my APS character, which is called spawn whatever controller, our own controller, So I can call it spawn PS controller, right? And I think all of this remains the same. The difference is that this will be an APS AI controller. All the rest will stay the same. The process will be always also the same. The only problem I have, I need to spawn something that I created with a new object. How do you do this? How do you spawn something that you already created? So I basically did new object already, and I want to spawn it. And I want to spawn actor after I created it, right? I don't know if it's possible actually. I don't know if it's possible, but it's what I need. New objects should not be used for actor have a class. And if the actor have a transform with the object. When you want actor, you want to be because the problem is that we have two times. I mean, let me just draw this for you so you understand what I'm doing, okay? We don't need this anymore, I think. No, let me open a new one. So basically, we have two timings, okay? So we have a timing where we load what we called NPC manager initialization, and in this NPC manager initialization, we are loading all the brains, which for us means NPC types and SC definition and all of that, right? So we are loading this. Then there is another thing which is happening after that, which is the NPC. Where is that? Which is basically the spawn manager. Yeah, which is the spawn manager. The spawn manager loading all the NPC initialization, right? The spawn manager initialization. The spawn manager initialization is loading all the NPCs and spawning them in the level, right? So this is what he's doing. This is what this guy is doing. Here is where I'm trying to associate the brain, right, to the NPC. This is what this is. Crap. So this is where I'm trying to associate the brain. The problem is that when I do this loading of the brain, I basically do a new object of my APS AI controller, and I load into it everything that is needed. Right? That is what I'm doing here. And then basically here, what I would like to do, I would like to do a spawn actor of my APS AI controller, but of the one that I created before. Okay? I would like to take this one. Okay? The problem is that I don't think is the way that Unreal is working. I don't think that Unreal works this way. So we could do. I don't think he likes the fact that I'm doing new object and then I'm going to spawn it. You know, I don't think he likes that. I don't think he likes that. So I think what we should do, we should probably instigator is undefined. Why is undefined? I mean, I think because I have to declare this class somewhere. Wait a second. Spawn PS controller. So if I go into my PS character cpp PS character.h, I placed it after whatever, after load. Okay. Here. So spawn PS controller. Okay, so I don't know exactly why, but now I think you will fix this, right? You will fix this probably. So the question is, can I just load the NPC types here instead of creating the actual object? And can I just spawn it later and load it later? I don't know, because this is my NPC, and I'm loading all the information inside this NPC. So you know. I don't know if I can really do this properly, because in theory here I can pass in one parameter, but spawn actor, is spawn actor taking? Come on, IntelliSense, I need you now. I need IntelliSense to wake up. It's so important for me, because I mean, if spawn actor could take an object that we already created, it's taking U class. No, it's only taking U class. It's only taking U class. Because you see what happens. It's basically spawning, the actor is basically spawning it at the same location of this character with the same rotation. with this thing. So AI controller class. Subclass of AI control. AI control class. The issue I have is that if I do this like I have now in the code, I'm basically recreating another actor. And I'm then not using all the work that I did before, which is exactly what I need, you know? I need this brain. I need this brain to be loaded, you know? I need this brain to be assigned, because I think if I do simply possess of this brain, considering it has not been spawned yet, I think it will not work. I think I need to spawn it and then to possess an NPC with it. And I think new object is not good enough. My problem is that I cannot do. Can I do anything? Can I do something simpler here? So just load. Just load. No, I cannot. I mean, or I spawn it fully here already, or I spawn it fully here already. But for example, I don't know the location of where it is. I don't know. I mean, that's the problem. I don't know a lot of stuff when I'm loading here. I don't know exactly how to do this because I think this new object is the problem. I should not do the new object here. But if I don't do the new object here, all this loading is not gonna happen. So, or I do the loading after, but I think the idea was exactly to load all the brains and then based on the brains to associate them to the NPC later on when they are loaded. Because this could happen also at runtime, you know, so that we are adding a new NPC and we just reload his brain, right? That is why there is a function that is called load single NPC, because it's used when we are reloading a single NPC and we want to reassociate his brain. So the other thing that I can do is to avoid using this PSAI command, but I cannot, unfortunately. I cannot. Unless we have another class, which is an intermediate class. We have an intermediate class, which is not a U object. There could be a possibility to have an intermediate class that is not a U object, but fuck, it means I have to change so much stuff. So if we go back to our classes, you see here I have the PSAI controller, which is keeping control of the brain, the memory, the NPC, and everything else. Now, the problem is that I cannot associate it directly, so I could have. Fuck it. It is annoying. I could have another class here, which is called PS brain or whatever, right? Similar to what we have down here, where we have the PS item, you know, and the item actor. Having the PS brain with all the information, including behaviors, reactions, blah blah blah, and then loading all those things at the server startup. So loading all the brains, right? Loading all these brains at the server startup in our where is it? Here. So we are loading the brains here only. We are not loading the actual AI controller. So we are loading the brains here, the PS brains, that class, and then we have a way to associate down here, after we spawned our PSAI controller, the brain to that class. So that would be a possibility. It's very annoying though. It's very annoying because it means that will mean that our PSAI controller will be basically empty. This PSAI controller class will be basically empty. We'll only have a pointer to our PS class, which is the brain. We'll have a pointer to our PS class, which is the brain. Yes, and the brain then will be responsible for telling the controller what to do. I'm thinking if it's the right way. I mean, I have to change a lot, but not insanely a lot. So it's just the fact that PSAI controller. I mean, all the functions that we have here, the majority of the functions we have here, which are 1 million, all these functions. But anyway, all these functions will go in another place. We'll go into our PS brain. Then I can do new PS brain as much as I want, and then I associate it to my PSAI controller. Then what happens when I have to execute something? Well, I will have my brain tick. I will go and check what the brain is telling me to do. Yeah, I think it works. I think if we add a separate class, if I add a separate class, it kind of works in the logic that we have today in the old server, right? I think it kind of works. It's a bit annoying because I have to redo a few things, but I think it works. I'm just evaluating if there is another option, you know, if there is another option which is allowing me to keep this and load it at the right time. Because our problem is only this. New object spawn act. This is the only problem we are having at the moment. That I cannot create, that I cannot new object and then spawn an actor with that object created. Maybe there is a way, I don't know. Maybe some real people might tell me how to do it. But the simple spawn actor by itself is also calling new object. So in reality, when we are doing this, if I look at the code spawn actor, probably I will see that it's also doing spawn actor is the one down here. Searching for 1 hour. Just the one down here. Spawn actor. I mean, it's very hard to read on real code, by the way. There's so many definitions and macro and stuff, but it's checking all the parameters, it's checking everything. Template. Use class default actor as template. Use class default actor as template. Get default objects. What is this template? Spawn parameters templates. An actor to use as a template when spawning a new actor. The spawn actor would be initialized using the property value of the template actor. This is interesting because actually in our case there is exactly a template that we want to apply when spawning the new actor. I don't know if he's scoping everything or he's scoping only this stuff, you know, but the other way I'm thinking now, so this template thing could be a solution maybe. This template. This template thingy may be kind of a solution. If it works, but I don't know if it's copying also my data, you know, because we don't have just Unreal data, we have all the PlaneShift data into it. So there could be a way. The other way that I was thinking now is if instead of calling the loading here, what is it? Inside NPC manager, instead of calling the load, we could but actually, you know, I still think the separate brain is better, because then I could call, say, a brain here and load it and then associate it to that. It's much better. I'm still thinking that probably this solution with a separate brain is probably better. I know it's painful because we have to redo a few things, but I think it will work better. I think it will work better because then I could have, you know, I could load here. I could load it. So here, instead of doing new object PS controller, what I would do just a new, I mean it's normal new, so I will have like my PS brain, whatever it is. We can even reuse the old name. The old name was, what was the old name? I mean the brain of the NPC in the old code was NPC type, right? I think was NPC, directly NPC, this thing. Okay, we can maybe call it differently, NPC brain, but NPC was basically having all the information. I wanted to have it as a subclass of the controller because it totally made sense to me. But you know, I remember when we did it on PS item actor, and then I had exactly the same issue, and so I had to split it in PS item and PS item actor. I had exactly the same issue. Exactly the same issue. I had exactly the same problem. So because again we were not able to initialize this or initialize this, and we were getting messed up with that. Well, for example, I don't have the problem with PS character. Why I don't have it here? I mean, I don't have a PS character something else, right? I just have a PS character. Why it is not causing me the same issue with PS character? Well, because I think when I spawn it, I also load everything from the database. Yeah, I do it contextually, so I'm loading the brain. So I could do that. I mean, I could do this. So don't do the new object here. Don't load freaking anything at the beginning. And then every time we are loading an NPC, we are actually loading his brain as well from the database. But you know, it's not very efficient. I mean, it's not very efficient because it means you cannot reuse brains between. Now, the problem I have is that if I keep it separate, let's say that I keep it separate, right? If I keep it separate, what happens then? Because I don't want to do all the work and then go back again, you know? So I just want to simulate the case and see if it works or not. So in my case, if we keep it separate, I will have something like, you know, PS brain, new brain, okay, PS brain, new brain here, and here I will just do a new of PS brain, right? So we will have something like that. Then here I will have my new brain load, which will be exactly the same function, because this PS brain will have the same capabilities of the current controller. So I will be able to load all this information into my new brain, and I will be able to store it in my NPCs, right? Will I be able to store it based on ID, CSC definitions, based on ID. I think I can put it as an ID. Yes, and then when I have it in this T map, so I load everything, I do all the checks, blah blah blah. Then when I have this loaded, and I'm now loading my character, so here what I will have to do, I will have to get my definitions. In this case, we return PS brain, you know, so we return my PS brain here, and then with my PS brain, what I would do, I would spawn a default controller. I would do this, so I would spawn a PS controller static class. I would spawn default controller, and then after this, is this returning a freaking yeah. Then I will just do pawn. I will just do get controller, basically. I will just do get controller, and then I will like set brain or whatever. We will have a function, you know, which is setting the brain on the controller. After we spawn the default, we do this. Then we set the brain. We put in this as the parameter, which is the brain that we loaded previously. And the only problem is that in that case we will not be able to associate the same brain to two NPCs, but I think it's okay because I think it's okay because we are loading one brain for each. one brain for each. So this way will work, right? This way will work. I will get the controller associated brain later, and that's it. And that's it. The other way to do it, there is one way. There is one way, and I think it works. Okay. It causes me to move all the data that we have inside PS controller to another class that we have to create, which can be called NPC brain, PS NPC brain, or something like that. And it causes me to change NPC manager kind of massively. Or not. Well, all the functions. No, I think no. I think we don't have to change this too much, because whenever we are using yeah, like this one for example, right? Whenever we are using PSAI controller, this will still be valid. Well, yes, we have to change quite a bit, because the all the functions will be now. There will be something like NPC and then get NPC brain and then get name, something like that. So there will be another class in the middle, in between, right? In between my. So that's one way, and I think it works okay, and probably is the best from the design point of view. Well, I don't know if it's the best. The other way that I'm thinking now is to do this: is to directly spawn all the brains here. So when we are, where are we? We are inside NPC manager, right? Yes. We are loading this. So instead of doing new object, we don't give a fuck, and we just spawn we just do spawn object, spawn actor of the brain. We just spawn it. Okay, we are loading this server, and we know how many NPCs we will have, right? And each one will have a brain, associated to it, and we are exactly reading that table. So we just spawn it, we store it into our array, our tmap, exactly the same way, but instead of doing new object, we do spawn actor. We do exactly what we do here. Then we keep it in the tmap by name or by ID, by ID. And then when we are actually loading the NPC, we are moving that actor to the right location, which is the location of the NPC. Setting the instigator, I think we just have to do a few things, right? We have to just ensure that the brain is in the right location and rotation of our actor. Otherwise, yeah, like it will look back instead of the front. I don't know. Like it's like having your eyes at the back, and then we will have just to do something like this: set the instigator, and then we can process it. The process will be the same. The process will be the same. Yes, the process will be the same. I just have to call this like here, right? And what is the difference between these two methods? What is the difference between these two methods? I have no idea. Let me think. So we have two possibilities, right? At the moment, we have two possibilities. If I can make this line straight, yes. We have two possibilities. One is to move. Let me do it in black. is to move all functionalities which are now in APS AI controller into a new class called PS brain. I will call it probably PS NPC brain, right? PS NPC brain. So there is one thing, and then in NPC manager initialization, we load all NPC brains by ID of our NPC, right? So basically we'll say like ID number 4 as the brain wanderer. Okay, so this will be what it is. Then after having done that, when we have this phone manager initialization, we load all the NPCs, and then we just spawn an actor. You know, we use spawn actor to create the new brain, new controller, and we associate the PS NPC brain, right, to it, and then that will be done, right? So yeah, we'll have nothing else to do than doing it there. It is one way. The other way is not to move anything. So is to have inside NPC manager initialization. Inside NPC manager initialization, we use spawn actor directly, right? For our new controllers, and I mean the position, I don't know, the position will be 0, 0, 0. So the only problem is that they will not have a proper position, you know. So they will be positioned in the world like whatever. So they will not be associated to a character, right? They will be associated to nothing. So they will be, I don't know, position is undefined or is whatever, right? Then in NPC manager, sorry, I did no, yeah. Then in spawn manager initialization, we set the location and rotation of our controller, and we use the possess, right? We use the possess. Now, what is the drawback of this method? Because this method looks, I mean, this method is the one that is quicker to do, you know? It takes me less time to do this than to do this, for sure. This one takes me less, because I don't have to change all the function, update all the code, I mean, and do all that mess, you know? So, what is the drawback of this one? So the drawback is that the position is undefined at the beginning, and I don't know if Unreal is not happy about it. I mean, I can assign it as 0, 0, 0 location, you know, for what I care. I think that's the only drawback that I can think of. I mean, I don't know if it needs to be possessed just after, you know, just immediately, like these things don't get garbage collected. I hope not. That they get garbage collected because they don't link to anything. They are not in the world. They are not connected to anything, and they get destroyed. Well, that could be a possibility. There could be a possibility that these objects, are getting destroyed before I associate it to my characters, because they are not connected to anything. I can set the root node anyway to these things and have them stay alive. It'd be like brains without people going around the world. bunch of brains walking around without people. And a real engine is saying, what are those brains doing? Let's just delete them, you know? We don't need them now. But we have a way to fix that, because we did it already for another thing, which was our queue objects. We had the same garbage collection problem, and we fixed it. So there is a way to just associate your object to the root of the world and make them part of the world. Even if I think that when you use spawn actor, they are automatically associated to your world, so probably this is not the problem. Okay, I think I want to try this version. This version is simpler. Is probably a bit less clean from the design point of view, but who cares? Simpler. I already use the code that we have. I don't see any major drawback. I mean, I don't want to, when we switch brains or when we do things like that, I don't think we need a separate class to do it. So I think we go with this, okay? For now, we go with this. And yeah, we go with this. Can I check in this stuff and then go back in case? Maybe that's a good idea. Just do an SVN check-in. But it's not a lot of change anyway. I mean, it's just the fact that I need to. It's not a lot of change. It's pretty simple. I mean, I need to change a few lines. So I need to. What I need to do? I need to use this thing. You see that is putting into a level. That's the problem. I think I don't have. I don't know if I have the level connection, you know, because my level is not loaded yet. I didn't load at this point of the process of loading. I don't have a level yet. I don't, or I do. Because like get level, I will have no idea what to set. That's the problem. That's the problem, that I will not be able to set any level here, and so probably the spawn will just miserably fail because it doesn't know where to spawn it. Let me just check. So here I am inside NPC manager. NPC manager initialization is happening, yeah, way before. NPC manager initialization is happening here and is still inside init game, while our world is getting loaded properly only when the game state is in begin play. And in fact, it is where I do the repopulation of the items. Well, actually, I could initialize our but man, no, because here I have the world. Here I have the world. 100% I have it. I have it. So, or I do the initialization of my. So let me check spawn manager. Where is spawn manager? So I should move. If I move the initialization of the NPC stuff here, I think I will be fine. Maybe we can do that. So instead of doing it here, so if I take this and I move it here, Okay. My world is already loaded, right? And now this, well, I could into initialize if I want. I can pass in the current world, or I can just get it from spawn manager. The problem is that this guy doesn't need a world, he needs a level. That's the problem. He needs the level. He needs to know exactly where to spawn this actor. I don't know if I'm making things more complex than they are, or whatever, but at least let's say if we do it here, I'm sure 100% that we have the world loaded, you know, and so we can initialize without any problem this. We could go here and we could go here, and instead of doing this, I'm not 100% sure that this will work, by the way, boys. I'm not 100% sure. I think there is a chance, but I'm not sure. So we may have something like, let me try to have all these parameters. Okay, so this function could actually be inside our PSAI controller at this point, right? It can be inside our PSAI controller. Yeah, why not? So we can take this. Let me think about it, because here I will have to do. I will have to call this with, like I was trying to do here, right, in the same way. So we'll have to call this, and I just need this first piece. So wait a second. So I need this, right? I don't have an instigator, which I hope is not required. I don't have a level. I don't have a position. I mean, the level I may come up with. So the instigator, I have no idea. This thing, okay, it's fine. This thing, I can get spawn. The only thing I can do spawn manager current world, and from current world I can get the first level available. I don't know, get level. Is there a get level? Level index. I mean, I can get the first level, whatever, you know. I mean, I don't know if it's the best, but it is what I can do. I can get the first level loaded in my world and associated to that. Then this one is fine. I don't have a position. I don't have a rotation, but for this one I can just create a new vector 0, 0. I can just put this in 0, 0, 0 for now. And rotation, I mean, rotation is returning what? Is returning a vector. Okay, so I can just do a random rotation. I mean, it's just 0 rotation, right? So I can do this, and I can do this. Why doesn't like it? What? Why doesn't like it? Spawn actor. Why you don't like spawn actor, boy? spawn actor is taking a class. I have it. A transform. It's taking a transform. Transform what? Transform to spawn on. Spawn parameters. So it needs a transform. I never used the transform. How is a transform created? Okay, it has a rotation, a vector rotation, and a vector translation, and a vector scale. Okay. I don't know, scale we can set it to 1. So. Doesn't like it. Vector register. What is a vector register? I have no idea what is a vector register. What is a vector register? You can create it only with another vector register. What the fuck? How can I just give him a random fucking position? Please, I just need a position. What is this F transform thingy? What is this F transform? I mean, transform composed of scale, rotation, and translation. Transform can be used to convert one space to another. Okay. Transformation of position values applied in order scale rotation. Okay. I mean, it's a full quaternion transform. I mean, no, there is also another way. Okay, sorry. There's also another way. I chose the one that was worst. So if I give it only one, okay, let's just leave it empty for now. Okay, boys, let's just give it empty and who cares. If you do like this, it says that it's okay. So I don't know what it does with the default transform. Okay, you see it's putting translation scale. Okay, perfect, exactly what I wanted. Okay, beautiful. So it's just F transform open close. That's it. Okay, this thing is creating our new actor, which is our new controller. Okay, fine, which we will call NPC, right? And then inside our NPC, we just do the loading. Okay, so this will be exactly like it is now, with the difference that now we are spawning the actual object in the world. So this object is actually existing now, right? Is actually existing. So we spawned it into the world. Now the rest remains identical, no differences. Remains perfectly identical. Yes. Why we have errors up here? Because we are not using push anymore. We are using add and we are getting the ID. Okay, sorry, this is because add and this should be char ID and should be, please, unbox and should be new NPC. Okay, and here it should be the same. Should be add should be char ID box new NPC. Okay. Still have another error. Remove. I mean, I don't think there is a remove. Is there remove or is there delete? No, there is remove, but it doesn't like. The key is the name of the name. No, is the ID. So okay. Okay, like this. Okay, yeah, because there were a few places in the code where it was still using the old way. Okay, so we spawned our brains. So now we have a world full of brains, and we should check if this thing is working. Let's do this first before doing the other changes. But basically, now if that works, right? If that works, what we have to do here is pretty simple. This will return an APS AI controller, and I think our AI controller class, we can set it to this, is not a problem. But instead of doing the spawn default controller, at this point we will have to do a few things. We will have to move this thing. We will have to set the actor location to get actor location. Right? Come on. So why doesn't like it? Function set actor location is inaccessible. Come on. Are you serious? What do you mean? I mean, it says that the location is not relevant for the brain. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if it's not relevant, why we are doing all the mess about setting the location and shit? Okay, it says that it's not relevant. So if it's not relevant, I don't care about it. But without a level, I mean, okay, fine. Let's assume that it's not relevant. Let's assume that it's not relevant for a second. So we do brain possess of this, right? Yes. Okay. That's it. I mean, I think that if we are not getting the brain garbage collected, if the brain is properly spawning, even if it's not associated immediately to an NPC, if the possess works separated from the spawn actor, then it will work perfectly. If one of those three conditions are not met, then it will fail miserably. But we will find out in few seconds. We will find out in few seconds and see if this is working or not. Pretty anxious about it, you know. I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. Should we just let it run and see what happens? Like, let it run, I mean, just without debug. Yeah, let's just launch it, and that's it. We still have a breakpoint here. So is compiling, right? So there's not much I can do at the moment. It's just compiling. So we are doing this thing. What is it? The line? Why line? We're doing this thing, right? Which is probably the simplest. So one build succeeded. Now let's launch it inside the Visual Studio anyway, because is maybe it's giving more information if it's crashing. So I think it's a better idea. What time is it now? It's 6:33. Okay. Yeah, and we invested a bit of time on this part, but I think it's very, very needed. While it compiles, let me just get something to drink. Oh no, I have it here already. Okay. I have it here. No, we get. I have some apple juice, and I have some simple water, but maybe I go with the apple juice now. Performing 12 actions. Apple. Is apple or apple? I think it's apple. People are saying apple, right? Apple or apple? Apple or apple? So just taking time. Meanwhile,
Apple.
wow, the volume, boys.
Apple.
It's kind of apple. Apple juice. Apple juice. I don't know, my English is so-so. I mean, still in Italian, you know. Still in Italian. It's compiling. It's taking a lot of time, so there is a good chance. Because the more it takes, the more it means that he wants us to wait, you know. Because he knows we are winning. Okay, let's see. It will catch the breakpoint, like now. Okay. So let it run and see if it crashes. Thank you. It crashed. It crashed on the freaking get level. Man, I don't have I don't know. I mean, it didn't load the levels yet. Okay, it didn't load the levels. So, but if the brain doesn't have a level thingy, okay. Okay, one of the three conditions failed, unfortunately. One of the three conditions failed. This level is not working. Can we leave it empty? Let's try to leave it empty and see what happens, okay? Let's leave it empty. Not giving any fuck. Let's leave it empty and see what happens, but probably it's not possible. If it's not possible, okay, we will go to the other solution. If it's not possible, we will go to the other solution. It will be a pity, to tell you the truth. It will really be a pity, because I have to redo some of the work. Which is very annoying. It's very annoying. But it crashed exactly on the setting of the level. So, well, it crashed because it was actually not able to get a level, because the level was empty. I'm just surprised that it's setting. Yeah. GG. I think it's not possible, unfortunately. It's not possible. Fuck it. It's not possible. It's pretty annoying though. Let me think. So what do we do differently from when we are spawning? So when we are spawning our NPCs, let me just check what we are doing. Huh? If I go under load and I try to spawn the NPC, there should be a spawn actor here somewhere. Right? Not this one, because this one is the one that we just added. No, there should be, it's under PS character loader then. It's inside PS character loader. Spawn actor. Okay. What kind of information I'm giving to this? Spawn info. Current world, spawn actor, APS character. You see that I had the problem of the world not being loaded, and so that's why I moved it to to that point. But I think that now we are in the same situation. You know, we are exactly in our game state. We are here, so our world should be loaded already. When we are here, our world should be loaded already. So why repopulate items, repopulate life? So that is what is calling. This is what is creating the NPCs. The NPCs are created here, right? And we are loading the brains here. So what is the difference? I mean, why? What are we doing here in terms of spawn info? Let me just check which spawn info we are giving to it. We are giving a spawn info which is empty. It's interesting. We are giving a spawn info which is completely empty. Check current lab. But basically, when we are spawning the characters, we are not providing any spawn info, like zero. You say spawn info is completely zero. Then okay, I have my rotation and my position somehow, but we are not sending in anything. Spawn actor, you see it? So I'm spawning my actor, my location, my rotation. Okay, my location is a vector with whatever place, and that's it. So why is not working? Why is not working here? Why is this any different? So basically there I do I have an F rotator and an F vector. And then I just do my location, my rotation, spawn info. That's the only thing, that's what I do. The differences though, the differences. My character blueprint class, this thing. No, it's just a U class. No, I think it's fine. It's fine. I think it's the same. So why is complaining about it? I'm very surprised that, I mean, with the NPC we are not doing anything different, and it's kind of working. I don't know if the difference is because it's a character and it's not a controller. Maybe controllers are, you know, slightly more sensitive to location and stuff, but still the problem is that we need to be able to spawn probably you can spawn it only from inside a character. That's the point. Okay, I will try this one. I mean this run more. I mean I will try this one as I'm doing now. If it doesn't work, I think I will go to the other method, which personally I don't like too much, but because it means that we will have to have the controller class and another class just for the brain, which is a bit annoying to have two classes for the same thing. But if I cannot figure it out, you know, it's just crashing. It's just crashing. It's not getting. He's not getting the current level. The current level, I don't know where he wants it, but it's probably not possible to spawn it this way. Spawn default controller. What if we do, so the spawn default controller is on what? Is on a character, right? Is on a character. So you need to have a character to do this. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Rip dreams. Rip dreams. Okay, so I think that we cannot do it this way. I think that's the takeaway of these crashes. So we have to do it the other way. And the other way will be to convert, it's very annoying, to convert our PS AI controller class to a class that only has a pointer to a brain, and the brain would be another class, unfortunately. So all of this will have to go into another class. So what is the easiest way to do it? The quickest way to do it is to copy paste this file, copy paste this file. I'm thinking about it, but yeah, I think the simplest way is to go here, copy paste this file. By the way, PSI controller I never changed it. Should I just revert everything I did and let me check? It's a pity though, because if I revert, I lose. No, I lose too much. I cannot revert. I did too many changes. Okay, I have to continue from here. So I need to copy PSI controller and create a new class, which we will call PS Brain or whatever. NPC Brain. And NPC Brain will have. Wow, you automatically rename the two. I'm impressed. Okay, an NPC Brain will be nearly identical to PSI controller with few very important differences. The first thing is that it's not a U class anymore. So it doesn't need this. It doesn't need this. It doesn't need this. Huh. Yeah, the other question is who will be scriptable? Because you know that we can script our entities, right? It's a bit of a mess. It's a bit of a mess because okay. So it doesn't need that. It doesn't need this. Now, everywhere in this file, okay. So, wow. Okay. So now I have to do a mass substitution of. Come on, please. I need to do a mass substitution of everything here. So wherever we have PS, NPC, whatever. So APS AI controller, we change it to PS NPC brain. Right? This will be the name of the class. Can we do a mass substitution of everything, assuming that the case is right? Yes, we can. So we will do a mass substitution here, and we will do exactly the same mass substitution in brain.cpp. 102 occurrences. Wow. Okay, so now from the perspective of plain shift code, this class is now identical to that one. We may have a few things that are not applicable, like for example the tick. There is the tick, there is the U class. There are a few things that may get into the way, but pretty much, this class is fine, I think. Pretty much this class is fine. Now, the big issue that we have is that as soon as I remove as soon as I remove from PSAI controller the rest, this will be pretty, will be a mess. As soon as I remove this, so now I think it's even easier if I take just the original PSAI controller instead of this one, right? Yes, I think I have it in SVN. If I go in SVN and I check the previous PSAI controller, which was basically an empty class, right? So what was it? I don't remember. So, but we had PSAI controller. You see, this one that was deleted. Let me just show it. So it was just like this. Okay. Time for big changes. All of this, boom, to 0. Painful. And the CPP, I think the CPP was even more empty. I think the CPP was completely empty. Yeah, CPP was this. So good. CPP, boom. Okay. Now, the problem is that when I do this, now when I compile, all the functions on NPC Manager will complain. All the functional NPC operations will complain because they will not find any more, our brain. So we need to, so the first thing we need to do, I think we need to have a PS NPC brain variable here, right? Which will be the brain thingy, and by default is empty. And then we need to do set brain and get brain, right? So we need to have a get brain. What happens? A get brain, and we need to, which is just returning brain, by the way. And we need to have just a set brain, which is taking our NPC brain as input, and it's just doing brain, and it's just doing brain equal to in brain, and that's it. So this is the only thing that we will have for now in this thing. Now NPC brain, yes, we can include, we called it NPC brain.h, and this way is cleaner, I think. Anyway, it's cleaner, is we will have to change 1 million calls, but I think I can do it massively. I can do it like a mass replace and substitution, but this way I think is simpler. Is cleaner. So what we are doing, we are now doing this one because the other one completely failed. So this one failed with the problem that cannot spawn a controller without the corresponding character and level. Mainly the problem is that the character was missing, the level was missing, right? That is the issue. This one is failed. GG. So we now do the other one, and yeah, we have 179 errors, but I hope that we can, PS NPC brain identifier. Okay. Um, because you are not including your own .h. What is the problem? Not including your own h. Well, that would be a problem for sure. Because it's coming after. Okay, just because it's declared after. Okay. That's it. Sorry, I was already in the H file, so. I clicked on something and he really. Okay, we are trying to recover this. Let's see if we can. Let's see if we can, boys. 173 errors, thank you. So now the question is, okay, now we have our PS brain and our A controller. Now from all the other places, right, which is 1 million places, should we call yeah, by the way, all these things are fucked because all the different parameters that I've set are actually right. So now, whenever we have NPC, it is so annoying. Can we change? Give me a second. I have to go to the bathroom, but I will be back soon. Very, very quick. So, one second. Just wanted to leave you with a nice image, I think I want to do boom. I think by the time I'm writing this, I would have been back already. But anyway, but it's fine. 1 minute break. Wait for me. You don't see it because I'm writing in black. 1 minute break. Wait for me, huh? Wait for me. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. So what I was saying. What was I saying? So I was saying that now the problem is that anywhere in this code, you see all the red dots. Anywhere in this code where we are using NPC something, or we should use get brain. So we have two options. Or we do something like NPC and then get brain, something like this. NPC get brain and then as auto memorize types, right, which will work. Because that is exactly having, right, is inaccessible. I mean inaccessible because I didn't place a public on top, but I mean it's fine. Okay, now it's accessible. Okay, so or we do this so that we go through the brain and do everything else, or we change all these parameters to be all these classes to use directly PS NPC brain, right? PS NPC brain. The only problem is that then whenever we will go from the character to the brain, we will have to do get brain anyway. What is the one with less errors is the question, and which one is the quickest one? Which is the one that looks the best? It's not easy, it's not simple to say. It's not simple to say. If it's quicker to do this change or this change. It depends if we have more functions that have APSI controller as a parameter, or if we have more functions that have APSI controller as in the body, in the body, and are calling some functions to it. I think the second case is more. So I think I would change it in the signature. It's probably easier, right? It's probably easier. Let me check what happens. So whenever we have APSI controller, I change it to NPC brain in this WAL file. Okay. 32 changes. Now all these errors should be fixed, but we will get other errors. I have to do the same change here, by the way. So we did 1 million changes. Now the problem is, fuck, I was so happy it was working already, and now we are back one step backward. We are one step backward compared to where we were, because we still have to fix the code to have this thing work. So annoying. Okay. Now NPC operation will have the same issue. NPC operation will completely have the same issue. $115. Holy moly, substitutions. The good thing is that we can do it just by substitutions, but 129. Holy shit. Okay. So now those two main classes, behave and operations, are using PS brain instead of the controller as an input, right? Now, NPC manager will have the same problem. It's in so many places, boys. We have no idea in how many places this is. We have no idea in how many places this is. Okay. I think with mass substitution we can fix the majority of that anyway. 91. 91 changes. So now I changed all the major NPC classes. I think there is still perception, but I don't know if perception is getting to that. Okay, now we are in the other case where from the brain I'm trying to go to the character, right? And we don't have a way. We don't have a way at the moment. So what we have to do, maybe what we can do is when we initialize our PSAI control, when we create our PSAI controller, when we set, because we have also to go from the brain to the controller, you know, and from the brain to the pawn. That is what we need. So maybe we can add a new function called get pawn, so we solve most of our problems. Yes, I think that's a very good idea. Because the majority will be something like NPC get pawn. Yes, right? There are a number of those. So yeah, all the get pawn. So I think we need the easiest for us is to store inside the NPC brain a reference to the controller, to our controller, so that we can always go back and, okay, so where do we do this? Where do we do this? I think we can do it here, right? Anywhere here, whatever, any place. Let's do it here. So stores a pointer to the controller associated to this brain, and okay, and this will be a APS AI controller pointer, which we call controller. Let's call it controller, or EU controller. Let's call it controller. Okay, this one is extremely important. So it has to be set by default, otherwise everything will fail. So we need this one to be set, and we also need to have a function which is getPawn, as we said, which is used everywhere, which returns an APS character, which is basically doing controller getPawn, right? The only thing he has to do is this. Now, how do we ensure that that our controller is always set, right? Because if the controller is not set, this will give a null pointer, right? So we should say if controller return controller phone, if not return null. Okay, yeah, so it's not one line is not very nice, huh? Okay, I can put it in multiple lines. Okay, I agree. Okay, done. So well, yes, we can cast to APS character this thing. Yes. Okay. Okay, fine. Now the problem is that we need to ensure that our controller is always set, right? If it's not set, our brain will not work, which is a problem. So we need, whenever we have the creation of this class, sorry, not the 8 list, the NPC brain. What is the constructor of this? The constructor is, we don't have a constructor? Oh, we have it for sure. Okay, we have two constructors. We have this one which is empty, and another one. So I don't know if I want to allow an empty constructor. I think I don't want to allow an empty constructor. I think it should always have an APS AI controller pointer, which is AI controller, and this thing should always set our controller equal to AI controller. I mean, this should always be like this. There should not be any other constructor, because if we allow an empty constructor, then it will not work, right? Okay, so fine. So what happens now? If I compile, now we have the get pawn. We have use of undefined type AI controller. Well, I mean, well, you can include it. I can include it. No problem. Include PSAI controller.h. No, it's called PSAI controller.h because a real engine forces you to place an A at the front of the class, or whatever it is. Hey boys, I see more people are joining. Welcome, welcome. We are in a bit of a tough spot at the moment, so PSAI controller.h. PSAI controller. Why it doesn't like it? Why it says? Wait a second. I think I need to generate. Do I need to generate the class files? It doesn't like to have it here. I mean, I can put it on the other side if you don't like to have it here, but I don't think that's the issue, right? One second. Let me do PS character get pawn, and then we define it inside NPC brain, because sometimes it's just better to define it in the proper place, you know? Just better to define it in the proper place. Okay, so let's do this. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Let me see if it complains again. Participants only show me. No, yeah, I don't check the participant list, which is broken. I just check the number of viewers. So when I see that the number of viewers is going up by 1 or 2, hello Riccardo, I know that someone joined. So I keep an eye on that, and I also see when people are leaving. But no, I don't do it on the participants because actually the participants is not, as you said, is not working. Let me check which problem we have now. Here we are inside reaction, and who is a PSAI controller? Okay, so we have to do the change here as well. We have to change PSAI controller to NPC brain also here, everywhere. Only 2 places? Nice. And the same here. 3 places. Nice. How are you, Riccardo? Come stai? So we have a problem in this. Also perceptions is exactly the same. Also perceptions. It's everywhere, boys. This change I'm doing is everywhere. Everywhere. Okay. I think, yeah, but anyway, it's only a matter of mass substitutions, and plus is a matter of ensuring that you see the errors went down quite a bit. So from 120 to, so NPC brain, let me check what's happening here. Yes, now the problem is that from inside our NPC brain, whenever we have something like this, we should actually have get pawn first, right? We should have get pawn, and then get world, blah blah blah. So we should have this everywhere, basically. In any place where it's giving this error, we should have a get pawn. Can I do a mass substitution of this with this? 1. Okay. There was only 1 left. Fuck it. NPC, well, because here is okay, because it's written slightly differently, that's why. NPC get pawn, get world, get authentication, get everything. Get pawn is inaccessible. It's not inaccessible. I made it public, man. Wait a second. Why we have NPC here? We are inside NPC brain. Nice, correct. Come on. It is not. I placed it in a place where it's not public. Really? Okay. Maybe I placed it where it was not public. Could be. I'm very interested to know how many places we have to do the change, but memory, NPC, get name. So it is also, wow, get phone, get name. So there will be a number of places. I don't know how many, but there will definitely be a number of places. NPC get pawn, NPC. So wherever we have this, what the hell? Share map. Why this is failing? I know why this is failing. Because in our gem.h we have the same problem. There are a number of places where yeah. This one maybe I do manually though, because I want to be sure that I do it in the right place. This one should be replaced, yes. This one should be replaced, yes, 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 yes. Everything that is inside tribes, I'm perfectly fine. Okay. Okay. Pizza time. Pizza time is pretty good. Pizza time. I think there is a nice picture for pizza time. I'm pretty sure. Let me try. Pizza time. I want to see a clock with a. I want to see a pizza with a clock on it. Pizza time is the wow. This one is pretty cool with all different types of different pizzas. Look at that. Look at this pizza time with all the different pizzas. So based on the time of the day, you're eating one pizza every hour. This one is the one I was looking for. Where is the pizza time? Okay. Still compiling, huh? You're still compiling. It's thinking a lot. So when it's thinking a lot, it means that we are closer, closer to the objective. Yeah, because I changed gem.h, and gem.h is included in like 1 million things. Okay, doesn't like PSI controller. What? Doesn't like it? I think I included it at the beginning, right? Yeah. What's the issue, man? I can do this if you want, but man, don't be annoying. Syntax error, PSI controller. Why doesn't like it? Why doesn't like if I'm including PSI controller? And should I regenerate the classes, these Visual Studio files? Let me just regenerate a second the Visual Studio file. There is something that is not working as expected. So I'm closing the editor 1 second, and if you can do it. I think it changed so many things that it's getting confused. Look at how much time it takes to close. I think it's stuck. I think it's stuck. Pizza time! Look at this. It's totally pizza time. Okay, it closed. I just wanted to regenerate quickly the project files because I did many changes. And I don't know if this is making a mess for him or not. Also, I think we have, we changed this class, the PSAI controller generated, APS AI controller generated. I think I would like to remove it because it was different, it was a different class, and I don't know if he's reading the generated class. I don't know. I mean, I just want him to redo it. Yeah, it's nearly dinner time for me as well. Well, in half an hour. In half an hour, I will go dinner. I think tonight we have the. Let me check. Do we have the Meet the Devs event? I think we do, right? The Dev Q&A. We have the Dev Q&A tonight at 10. Maybe I can do it on stream. I don't know. It's in 2 hours and 2 hours and a half. Maybe I can do it on stream. There are not too many people in the Meet the Devs these days. 9 errors left. Woo, 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 woo. 9 errors. 9 errors. It seems too low, 9 errors actually. I don't believe that. NPC brain will get unique ID. Okay, so here we should do get phone. 9 errors seems really little. No? No, seems very low. Okay, I think we did the change actually. I think we did it, right? Now the problem is that we need to use the new logic. That is the one that I typed here, and it's good that I typed it, so I can read it again now. We said move all functionality which are now in NPC AI controller into the new class called PCPSBrain. Done. This one we did it. Then NPC manager initialization without all NPC brain by ID. Okay, so this one I think is where it's getting stuck now. Exactly. So okay, let me think. So here, let me think. We don't need to do any of this anymore, right? We can just load our spawn actor. So here we need just to do a very simple NPC brain new. Oh fuck. We have a problem. I need an empty constructor, otherwise I will not be able to do this. I need an empty constructor at least for the loading, otherwise, because here it requires to have a controller, you know, but I don't have a controller yet. I will assign the controller only later on. So at the moment, the only problem I have is when we do all of these functions, do we require the controller to be there? I don't think so. I think all of this will not require any controller. Will not require any controller. Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. So I think, okay, I think that here for the loading we can go with an empty constructor. It's a bit risky because but there's no other way, because we are just loading the NPC brain without it. Yeah, so this thing, no. this thing, no. But we need a set, you know, a set brain. Did I do it already? Set brain, yes, we have it. The set brain is NPC type. Okay, now let's call it set controller. Maybe set controller is, yeah, because if you do set brain, we have set controller, not set brain. It's a stupid idea to call it set brain. Stupid idea. Set controller. So this will be void set controller, PSI controller, controller. Okay, I think like this is fine. Like this is fine. We need an NPC brain empty. There is no way, because we will set the controller only in the second step. So there is no way. We need to have it empty. So here we just do this. We load the brain. And then when we are in the PS character loading, yeah, this one I think is just complaining here. Right. So and then here when we are in the character loading, now there is not anymore like this, because this one is returning, I mean, get NPC definitions is returning a PS brain, right? For sure. What? Get NPC definitions. Why is not here anymore? Because probably was here. Huh? Okay. Is returning an NPC brain. Yes, is returning a PS NPC brain for sure. Okay. So it's returning this. Now this I can do. This I can do. Default spawn default controller I can do, and then what I can do, what I have to do, I have to take get. My IntelliSense is sleeping. I have to do get controller, and on this controller I have to set it as, so let me do something. I have to do PSI controller, PS controller, PSI controller, which is my controller, and I do just get controller, casting it to that, cast to this, and then so I'm sure that it is a player PS1, and then I do if PSI controller. Then what I have to do, I have to just set my brain. I just to do our set brain, which we now have to brain, right? I think if it's not, I think we have a big issue. So I would like to print out an error here, because if this is not returning something, is a problem. Is definitely a problem. So we go with error log startup, I think, server start error, and we say couldn't load brain, couldn't associate brain to to PS AI controller, to whatever, to this character, to percentage %s, and we can maybe print out the ID or something. Let's print out the ID. The ID is, no, I have it there actually. The ID is this. To NPC ID. Because if this fails, there is a problem. There is a big problem, you know, because it means that we couldn't actually associate the brain of the NPC and something bad happened. Okay. Static class identified not found. What is this? Read single NPC. Okay. Now this one has to be as it was before. So yeah, these were a few changes that I did, but this should just be. This should just be. Go to definition. Yeah, new NPC, whatever. Yes, should just be as simple as this. So it should be this new NPC brain. That's it. Do we need an initializer? I don't think we need. Okay. I think it took less than I was thinking to do the change. It took like what, half an hour? I think it was worse than this. Still complaining about something else. Yeah, the same here. The same here. We can just do new PC brain. I think so. What we did NPC managers bam bam. This is done, right? This is done. Okay. And this is done as well. So these three things we did. Now we have to see if it works though, because why is still complaining? What does he want? PC manager, reference, function, PC operation. Yes, because because here we were inside NPC operation, and I needed to do what? Cast APS character NPC get target. Okay. If char NPC target NPC. So I wanted to get the controller out of this. Why I wanted to do this? No. That is not what I need. Is this what I need? So trigger event is inside NPC brain, right? No, wait. It is a bit of a mess. Okay, so we need to do this. We need to, first of all, get our controller, which is an API's whatever controller. APS AI controller, right? So, and this should be cast to this. Okay. Then Then with this, we do get brain, which we now have, and it's getting my target NPC. And then from here we trigger the event, we do whatever we need to do. Right? Just not completely sure why we do this. Yes, because we need to get the target of this one. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Fine. Hello, I see someone joined. We're pretty much at the end of the stream, but still few things to do. Still few things to do. I think we have the same problem here, where basically from the target we need to go to the brain. Now we have to go through the controller, right? Yeah, we have to go through the controller because we are here and we want to get this. So we have to go through the controller and then go there, right? Yes, I think that's the only way for us to do it. So we have to go through the controller. Fine. So we need to do the same thing I did above. So we need to get this guy and cast it to the right controller, which is PSAI controller. So we need to be sure that this is cast to this, and if this works, assuming that this works, then we do if AI controller, then we just do friend NPC equal to friend NPC. Oops, what happened? I just copied this. Friend NPC equal to AI controller get brain, right? Yeah, the same thing. It's a bit of a redirection, you know, but it's okay. It's okay. Okay, it compiled, which is something. So one succeeded. We have our one succeeded. Now, what we want to see, we want to see that when this thing is running, we load properly all the brains, and then we arrive to the point where we load the NPC, and that brain is associated to the NPC, right? So basically, I want a breakpoint here. And I want to see if I get a brain out of it, and if I associate it properly to the controller. And then what would be very cool to do, but I don't think I have time to do it now, will be to finally instantiate some, have the NPC do something based on his brain, right? Which I think it doesn't do now. Riccardo, if you want to help on the 3D, you have to speak to Zway. Are you on Discord? There are two people you have to discuss with. If you are in Discord, I can give you the link. What is it? This. I can give you the Discord. Where are you? Here. If you connect there with Discord, you have to contact two people. One guy is named C72, and the other guy is named in a crazy way, I never remember this guy. It's way. these two guys, C72, which by the way is Cyborg here in YouTube, or Zwei. And these two guys, so Cyborg is actually working at the moment on the UI and doing changes to the UI and improving, let's say, the way it looks and everything. And Zwei is working on the characters and also on the world a bit, so on the world object. So if you want to help, you can contact one of these two guys. They are pretty active, so I think that you can see them. You can, you know. Let me see if this load goes through, but I think it will. Okay. I think it crashed. Failed to load tribe brain for NPC mail Anki. Okay. What? It didn't work, boys. It didn't work. For some reason, this loading, it didn't work. Is the NPC part of a tribe? I don't think it should be part of a tribe. Is our male Anki part of a tribe? I don't think so. Okay. What is the problem? So here we are fine. NPC brain. So let me see if this load goes. Yeah, this load works properly. So what is the issue? That when it goes here, check attach tribes. If NPC get tribe. NPC is completely fucked, by the way. Okay. Didn't work at all. Okay, let's try again. New NPC. Load. Okay. Fine. Get tribe. Why get tribe is returning true? NPC brain return tribe. Why? NPC get tribe. Attach tribes NPC. Tribes, check attach. I mean, it's returning true, but tribe should be always empty. I don't understand why we are messing now with this. NPC get tribe seems to return something, you know? Like if it's part of a tribe, but tribe we didn't even load. I think because it's not, you know, it's not initialized. I think it's just because it's not initialized. Yes. Yes. I think because it's not initialized. Where do we have our initialization? Wait a second. We had two initialization, right? One with world and another without. Now, this one, the one that I had to call. That's why. Okay. This is the one I had to call. This PS world. Now, I don't know if I have a world though. Do I have a world? when I'm doing this load, so read database NPC, okay, I want this function, please find it. Okay, cool. When I do this, world is coming from where? I think I should have it inside NPC client. Okay, so can we do this? Can we just call directly? Can we just call instead of this doing world? Okay. Then if we do like this, we will initialize everything and we will not even have the need of our empty. Now the problem is that, let's see. Okay. Let me remove that because I think that this was a bad idea. I think this was a bad idea. Very bad idea. Okay, let me recompile. We're getting closer, huh? We are getting closer. Yeah, Riccardo, if you don't have Discord, you should get it. It's a very nice program and it's pretty cool. Hey, Riccardo. Yes, depends, Riccardo, if you want to be more on the architectural side or on the character rigging side, but we are basically using Blender for everything now, so we're using Blender for anything, so which is good, which I really wanted to do it since like 10 years, but unfortunately it was not possible. Different reasons, long to explain, but I didn't delete the DLL. We need this thing to be recompiled fully. Okay, but basically what we have now, what is this? GeForce Experience? Oh, no, thank you. I pressed something like Alt something. What I wanted to say, I wanted to say that basically now, while it's recompiling, will take a bit. We have added this thing, okay? So actually the brain of the NPC, I mean, okay, starting. The brain and the memory of the NPC is actually not here. Is inside PS brain. So I think what we need to do, we need to say something like this. So my APSI, this controller, let me just have it proper. Okay, this controller is here, and then I have a PS brain, right? I have a PS brain, which is a new class. By the way, it's not even called PS brain, so let's just redo it. It's called PS NPC brain, and in black color. Yes. Why so small? The same size of everyone else? No. It's 22. It's 24. PS NPC brain, right? This thing here. My mouse sometimes is failing, I don't know why, which is a problem, so I think I have to change it. Okay, so this thing here is here, boom, boom, boom. So our PS NPC brain is now containing the brain and the memory and everything else, and PSAI controller is only a quick connection. So it's not, so this is here. Okay, and we have a connection between this PSI controller and our brain, right? So this is how it is now. Yeah, this is how it is now. Okay, it's loading. Let's see if it's loading properly or not. Our NPC, yes, it seems it did it. Did it? Did it load all the classes? Yeah, it loaded the behaviors. Okay, fine. Now let me see if we get a proper brain back. No, we don't. Fuck it. Why? Yeah, we have 48. We have 48. Why we don't get? It's loaded properly. It's loaded properly, but when we do find ref of this PID, it's not returning anything. Pretty weird. Okay, boys, the problem is that now it's a bit late, so I have to go. I have to go to dinner. I will see if I can stream also in the evening, but I think we are very close now in the sense that our brains are properly loaded, and as you can see here, inside our get NPC definitions, we have 48 brains properly loaded. Now, for some reason, when I do this find ref, it's not working. PID 4. I mean, this find ref is returning null. No, sorry, it's not returning null. The old brain is null. No, it's returning the brain. Here it is. For wanderer. No, it's working. Okay. So now, what we do, we associate it to our brain. I think it works, boys. I think it's doing it. Now the problem is I will just F5 everything. So I think that now our NPC, which we have only one loaded, but our NPC has the brain wanderer associated to it. Right? Now it doesn't advance yet, so it doesn't do anything yet, but he has all the information loaded available to be executed, which is absolutely great. I think it works. So we just need to test it now. So now what we have to do, we have to change the wanderer thingy here, right? We have to change it. We have to make it just a react to time. We have to create a new behavior, react to time, and then see what happens. But I think we are close, huh? We are very, very close. Okay. With that said, have a good evening. And I don't know if I will stream after dinner. Will depend. But maybe streaming later tonight. I have no idea. Probably not. Tomorrow, unfortunately, I have to travel. So I have to travel, and I will travel Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So when we can see each other again, today after dinner, if possible, but is an option, or Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday evening. Okay, so see you Wednesday. Wednesday, yeah. Evening. Okay. See you Wednesday evening, boys. See ya.